Bene, buongiorno a tutti, vi do il benvenuto in questa iniziativa First European Global Road Show, proprio per essere multitasking e innanzitutto ringrazio la del concerto per aver fatto questa prima iniziativa che ha come obiettivo illustrare quello che è un dispositivo che oramai è sempre più utilizzato dalle polizie locali. Dispositivo l'ho chiamato perché abbiamo l'avvocato
al momento
che arriverà, e se no mi avrebbe sicuramente rimproverato perché
assolutamente
è esclusivamente un dispositivo per contenere i soggetti che hanno magari una certa refrattarietà a stare alle disposizioni della polizia locale. Io ringrazio pubblicamente il Consiglio per avermi fatto l'onore di numerare questa iniziativa che vedrà nella prima fase gli interventi dei responsabili della traffic tecnologica. In particolare presento Steve Cohen, che è dell'International Sale dell'Azienda, Stuart Mallory, l'executive vicepresidente dell'International Sale, e Moles Terrazza.
non c'è.
Evito la mia performance inglese per questo ultimo. Benissimo, quindi apro gli interventi e passo la parola a qualcuno. Vuole fare degli saluti?
Sì,
Il comandante dice
si offre volontario.
Si offre volontario un torto collo, possiamo dire, questo lo diciamo noi italiani, proprio
Intanto non viene offerto volontario, però ringrazio per l'opportunità.
Dottor Antonelli, comandante.
Grazie. E chiaramente il saluto lo porto a nome sia del comando che della città che rappresentiamo, e grazie alla Defcon Service che ci ha dato questa opportunità, che per noi è un'opportunità estremamente importante. Siamo utilizzatori del dispositivo Bolawrap da ormai 4 anni e mezzo, e siamo estremamente soddisfatti dell'attività, e chiaramente l'opportunità e voglio anche ringraziare i colleghi, perché per noi che veniamo da una realtà diversa queste sono anche opportunità di confronto, e quindi di questo vi ringrazio enormemente. E poi insomma, dopo, se abbiamo modo, vi racconteremo anche un po' quella che è stata la nostra esperienza rispetto all'utilizzo del dispositivo. Grazie a tutti.
Dottor Stefano Lanna, comandante di questo servizio.
Benvenuto a tutti. Vi porto sia i saluti dell'associazione PM, con la quale che praticamente si è fatto un po' da tramite insieme alla Defcon Service per organizzare questo evento. E vi porto anche i saluti dell'amministrazione. Stamattina doveva venire il nostro sindaco Antonelli, ma purtroppo non ha potuto venire per motivi istituzionali, neanche l'assessore. Quindi vi ho detto comunque di portare i saluti da parte dell'amministrazione comunale. Perché Bola? Noi abbiamo fatto un articolo di recente delle riprese televisive con i nostri istruttori, che dopo avrete modo di vedere, su questo dispositivo, perché reputo che sia un dispositivo veramente importante, che si va a interporre tra quello che è l'uso della forza per i mani a quello che è l'uso delle armi da fuoco, che dovrebbe essere l'estrema massimo, ma proprio per rispettare quello che è il principio di proporzionalità. della difesa in relazione all'offesa. Detto questo, veramente molti saluti all'associazione ancora. Vi invito venerdì prossimo, c'è un seminario già a Verona, quelli che organizza sempre il comandante Castiglione di ogni sala, e niente, buona giornata.
Prego. L'ingegnere Maffei, l'ingegnere Maffei per la del conferenza. Prego.
Siccome questo è un tinte, giusto? Siccome il mio bell'accento da bresciana si sente di più quando c'è il microfono. No, faccio il microfono. Volevo ringraziare tutti voi per essere presenti, ma soprattutto non me ne vogliano gli altri, soprattutto anche il DM per averci supportato. Dalla persona del dottor Lanna, del comandante Lanna, il comandante Ciampino, perché ci ha aiutato completamente il patrocinio del Ciampino, e il comune anche di Busto Arsizio ci ha dato il patrocinio, quindi grazie anche al comune di Busto Arsizio, grazie a tutti voi, grazie alla Wrap Technologies, grazie al dottor Maggio che ha deciso di farci da moderatore, e di nuovo grazie a tutti i comandanti, a tutti i sindaci, a tutte le persone che sono presenti, a Marco e perché a Paolo, il nostro istruttore, perché speriamo che è la prima volta che facciamo un convegno del genere, dovrebbe arrivare anche altra gente, ma spero che vada bene e che vi possa interessare quello che avremo a presentare. Visto che faremo una presentazione non solo del Bola, ma anche di altri dispositivi, di altre realtà che potrebbero essere magari in futuro interessanti. Quindi grazie ancora.
Bene, inizia allora adesso, entriamo nel vivo dell'argomento. Passo la parola a Steve Cohen. Va bene, non lo so, va bene. Ma lo detto bene, e buonanotte, a voi. Grazie, buonanotte.
First, com'è l'inglese? Tutti?
Okay. Everybody speaks English. So,
Beautiful.
fire away.
Beautiful. Well, we weren't sure, so there are going to be subtitles. So if I get to talking too fast, there's the subtitles as well. But first and foremost, thank you so much for your time. It's very special for both Steve and I to be able to be here with you today, to be able to talk about Wrap Technologies and everything that we do to such an esteemed guest list. Italy is, in my opinion, the leader of the EU in so many ways. And from the Bolawrap perspective, the use of force continuum, the inclusion of the Bolawrap on the belt, it's very important to us what Italy has done from a legality standpoint to put Wrap Technologies in the spotlight. And today, what I would like to do is just give a full understanding and overview of what we're doing today, the progression for what we're doing in a number of fashions moving forward, and to be able to allow you to answer any questions that you may have between myself and my colleague Steve. Steve's going to be walking around the room. He'll have the microphone. Please, if you have questions, stop us, interact, allow us to expand more on whatever you're interested in. We're here for you. And anything that we can do to support you, that would make us very happy. So thank you in advance. And with that, I'll dive right in.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Again, my name is Steve Cohen. I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for hosting us, and thank you for DEF CON for putting this together. I've been with the company for just over a year, Prior to that, I spent my career in law enforcement just like you. I retired last year after 29 years in law enforcement. First 6 years of that, I worked with a department called Montgomery County Police right outside of Washington, D.C. And then I went to the DEA, the Drug Enforcement Administration. Anybody here at the DEA? Anybody had a chance to work with the DEA here in Italy? Not yet? Well, hopefully. I have a lot of friends here. We used to actually have an office in Milan, and we moved all the people out. They're down in Rome now. They're very good friends of mine. And if you need any connections for any cases or anything like that, I'm happy to facilitate that as well. So, like I said, Stuart's going to be emceeing today. We're going to show you what we have and the new direction of our company, the direction we're going to. We know in the past we've had representatives from the company here. The company's changed quite a bit, so people have changed, the technology has changed, the innovation has changed. We're blazing paths forward. So we're going to talk about all those things and some other cool things that you don't see on the internet or our web page just yet. So yeah, we want to make this also interactive. So as we go along, we may have questions for you, and if you have questions for us, because we want to hear about use cases here in Italy. And how we can help support that. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Stuart.
Ovviamente Steve dice che vorrebbe rendere questo intervento di oggi molto interattivo, quindi con domande e risposte, quindi non persone sulla cattedra che spiegano i dispositivi, ma anche loro vogliono capire quali sono le metodologie di impiego di vari dispositivi o che potrebbero trovare un utilizzo nelle tecniche operative, ovviamente, di comandi di Polizia Locale italiana, così che anche loro, capendo, possono poi strutturare i vari prodotti, soprattutto la realtà virtuale, che vi spiegheremo meglio in questo momento, per un utilizzo urbano. Intanto che I'm just jumping ahead of what you're saying in the next 5 minutes. La realtà virtuale wrap non è perché wrap è differente dalle altre tipologie, lo potete vedere già da lì. Prenderà in considerazione tutti i dispositivi che sono a disposizione degli agenti di polizia, quindi si va dallo spray, dalla manfrina estensibile, dal bola, dal taser e dall'arma da fuoco. Quindi l'operatore deciderà cosa scegliere e vedrà tutto appunto nel caschetto per poter appunto formarsi in varie tipologie di situazioni, interventi che debba appunto affrontare. Quindi è una realtà virtuale completamente diversa dalle realtà virtuali probabilmente che siete stati abituati a vedere in questi giorni. Quindi non è focalizzata solo ed esclusivamente sul vola, ma è una realtà a 360 gradi. I would say that your virtual reality services is virtual reality that is taking part of the opportunity about so you're all now.
Excellent. Well, thank you all once again. And as I said, please, nothing is a bad question. If I go into a direction, you have questions, raise your hand, we'll come right to you. And we want your opinions, we want your questions all attributed to. So thank you again. So as I was introduced, I'm VP of Sales Global for Wrap Technology. I spent about 23 years in public safety, doing all sorts of technologies. And as part of that, what we do at Wrap Technologies today is very, very exciting because it makes a difference. It's something that we're not looking to replace anything on the belt. We're looking to be included on the belt to provide agencies like yourselves tools that they have not had otherwise. And we're going to talk about what that means today and what that looks like. So, across the world in general, I'm going to reference some stats here from the United States, but the stats are pretty consistent country to country and area to area. Basically, of all the events that happen on a yearly basis, about 1 in 5 of those incidents end up leading to some sort of hand-to-hand, some sort of potential injuries to either the citizen or the officer. So when you're talking about, like in the US, 10 million arrests per year, 28,000 per day result in resistance, roughly 1 out of 5 cases, 20%. In that 20%, the situation comes about of were there other choices available to them that could have been utilized to deal with the situation before it escalated. We're going to talk a lot about pre-escalation, de-escalation, and all of that. But the key element of wrap technologies, the Bolawrap specifically, is dealing with scenarios before they escalate, before situations become volatile, instead of waiting till after. Now, as part of that in general, the overall process comes down to when you have the legal right to apprehend, to physically engaging, and then the highest risk arising from closing the gap in time and distance. So you have the verbal interaction with the assailant or the alleged assailant. The verbal interactions break down, and before you go hands-on, having other choices available to you. Because plain and simple, the risk comes when you close that gap and you're trying to get that person at a point that they can be properly apprehended, safely not only for the individual, but safely for the officer. And plain and simple, in order to do that, the officer must get dangerously close to apply the cuffs and to be able to move forward with the detaining of that individual overall. We need to be able to provide you something that allows that process to be pre-escalating, to allow that situation to be non-combative and not have to introduce something that can cause harm or, a pain compliance scenario. That's where the Bolawrap comes in. The Bolawrap 150 is the only product that gives you the non-lethal advantage. Less lethal, we're all familiar with it. All the different products that have the categorization of less lethal, we need those products. They're on the belt for a reason. We need those products. But where the scenario comes into play for Bolawrap is giving you something in that use of force continuum that allows you to safely and predictably take that person under control and de-escalate the situation before it becomes problematic. With the Bolawrap, we have the unmatched safety of zero serious injuries, 0 deaths, and plain and simple, in the US, this is probably more of a miraculous event than it is in Europe, but no lawsuits to speak of. I mean, for us to have 1,100 US agencies using Bolawrap effectively and no lawsuits, I mean, in the US, they sue because your coffee's too hot. With us, we haven't had that problem, and it's because it is a much safer alternative to everything else that's available in the initial steps of the use of force continuum. Now, with that being the case, the processes that we use the Bolawrap with are, for those of you that are familiar with it, you've got different elements with the Bolawrap. You have sight, so when the unit is on and it's targeted at an area, you've got the green target reticle, you've got the bright light, you've got all of that the sight part immediately gets attention. It immediately gets an understanding from the individual, okay, I need to calm down or I need to pay attention or something's gonna happen. So you have the sight, you have the sound of the device that's basically 160 decibels. And then if the sight and sound do not get the person to adhere and you actually implement the Bolawrap, then you have the restraint facet of the product to where it can wrap the legs, it can wrap the torso, it can wrap from the elbows to the wrist or the knees to the ankles. So you've got a multitude of elements with the device sight, sound, and restraint that are all in advance of the other elements of the use of force continuum. You're not going to put the person in pain. You're not going to put the person in harm's way, but you're going to take control of the situation and create an instance that they know they need to adhere to your interactions. Any questions about any of that so far? Go ahead, Steve.
Was there any questions? I just want to add just a couple things. We have a couple different devices up here. Everything that you see in blue is inert. It's not operational. Yellow is going to be operational. It can deploy. These are all unloaded. There's no cassettes in there, just so we talk about safety. Everything we do, we're very conscious about safety when we're training, when we're talking about it. So I just wanted to put that out there. And also, when we're talking about deployments on subjects, a lot of the events that police officers respond to, they're just people being non-compliant. And I'm sure you see the same thing in Italy as well. So a lot of just people that aren't being compliant. Probably the number one thing that we deal with, and I'm sure it's a global issue, is people with that are suffering from mental health crises, right? So they're having a bad day, they don't know what's going on, and then we have people that are under the influence of drugs and alcohol. In the United States, those three circumstances, you can't escalate higher levels of force. So what are you left with? You're left with your hands, right? Which, a lot of us are trained in defensive tactics, and we can it's translating, it's good. We can use our hands, but when you want a tool that's going to assist you to give you a tactical advantage before you go hands-on, it creates a window when it's deployed, and through the training, everybody knows, okay, and we're communicating as police officers, we're communicating, hey, Stuart, this guy, he's not cooperating, it's time to go to jail, it's time to take him into custody. I'm gonna Bolawrap this guy, we communicate, bola, deploy, we go in and put hands on. So I just wanted to mention that this is not a US problem, an Italian problem, it's a global problem. Those three situations that we all come up with: non-compliance, mental health, and drug and alcohol under the influence.
Thanks, Steve. Now, in addition to those three elements that are obviously problematic, because you're wanting to be respectful of the person's mental health situation, their overall condition at that time. But there's also scenarios, maybe it's minors, maybe it's high school age individuals, or maybe it's elderly, or maybe it's somebody that's pregnant. There's lots of scenarios at play to where using a less lethal product or a less lethal device like a taser or something more can cause problems within that might be, serious. And with the Bolawrap, it just gives you that element of choice that you don't get otherwise. I'm going to show you a quick little video that just highlights the utilization of the Bolawrap in general, and then we'll start talking more about specifics associated with time to use it, how to use it, and all of those types of things next.
Every day, officers around the globe put on the uniform, ready to risk it all to keep us safe. RAP is proud to stand with law enforcement and equip them with our flagship non-lethal device, the Bolawrap 150. This modern tool leverages sight, sound, tactile sensation to create a multi-sensory cognitive disruption that gives officers an advantage when faced with non-compliant subjects. By deploying the Bolawrap early in the pre-escalation period, RAP is helping deliver safer outcomes for officers and safer outcomes for the communities they serve. With the right training, full deployment, and proper tactics, The Bolawrap 150 is the most utilized tool on the belt in law enforcement today. Reach out and learn how WRAP can help your agency save lives, reduce liabilities, preserve careers, and avoid harm. WRAP is ready. Are you?
So as you saw in that quick video, circumstances in your daily lives are very unpredictable. And you've got to have the tools in your hands that help you deal with that lack of predictability and lack of uncertainty. And with the Bolawrap, leveraging the sight, sound, and sensation of restraint, it just gives you a process to disrupt the subject's focus. Instead of that individual thinking about what they're going to do to try and run away or attack you or create physical harm upon you, they've got to focus on, okay, what's this? What are they aiming at me? What is this like? What is this sound? What is this? What is that? You've distracted them. You've taken control of it, given you that window of opportunity to quickly and safely gain that tactical advantage, that mechanical advantage before you have a hands-on position to put them in custody. This is another short video that just shows the Bolawrap being implemented. We're going to target this individual in the torso, and we're going to target them in the legs, and then I'll give you a bit more description of how it functions. So what you just saw there is the individual being wrapped, and then if you look here, you can see in process the 7.5 foot Kevlar tether with barbs at the end of the tether. Steve, would you pass some of these around, please, so they can see what is actually on the Kevlar tether? Now, please be careful because they do have the barbs on the end. But what the Kevlar tether does is it goes out from the unit. As we said, this is an inert device, so this isn't real. But it goes out from this unit at about 450 feet per second. So when you implement the unit, if you're targeting the individual at 5 to 10 meters, it's going to be on you in a split second.
I'll give you in meters per second and kilometers per hour. Esce a 560 km all'ora, quindi 156 metri al secondo. In 2,5 centesimi di secondo il soggetto a 3,5 metri è immediatamente bloccato.
Thank you for that, Alex. So the overall unit, it deploys quickly, it gets their attention, and then once they feel that restraint, the understanding that they need to adhere to your commands becomes a lot more easily accepted. And it's interesting, as we were talking about mental health subjects earlier, it's amazing to see all the stories out now where individuals who are having a mental health moment or were drunk and disorderly or whatever the case may be, actually thanking officers later. Thank you for not tasing me. Thank you for not pepper spraying me. Thank you for controlling my situation with the Bolawrap, because I didn't have to be put in pain. I wasn't hurt because of it. That's a far different outcome and a far different scenario than somebody being tased or something else along the line and potentially being hurt. Sure.
Yeah, so also you all got to see the barbs and like they're intended to catch clothing, right? And so and again, it's not going to catch your skin if you're wearing heavy clothing, light clothing. But if somebody has very thick clothing or no shirt at all, it will still wrap them. It will stick into their clothing, to their skin, but it won't penetrate. You see how small the barbs are? It's almost like sticker bush. You know, once you're wrapped, you don't want to move further because the more you move it, the more it's going to hurt. So, and again, it doesn't wrap you up like a present. It's just buying you time. It's buying the officers some time to react. It's giving them a tactical advantage, and while they're distracted, because when that wraps around you and you feel that sense, first of all, it's loud. You've probably seen the videos, but have you seen it deployed outside real time? Anybody? Okay. It's gonna be loud. It's gonna sound like almost like a gunshot or a flashbang. And that's done intentionally because it distracts people. It disorients them. They don't know what's going on. So your first reaction is shock, but then you feel the sensation of this cord attaching to your legs or your arms, and you can watch all the YouTube videos you want. You'll see they drop, they look, they try to take it off, but that's when the officers move in and take them into custody. So we talked about, and I think we'll talk about it later, what a perfect wrap looks like. A perfect wrap doesn't wrap you like a present. There may be one bar that's on the ground. It doesn't matter, but because it's still creating that few seconds that's so critical for officers to go in and put custody. And then I'll just refer back to this. The reason we're showing this, these still videos, is so you can actually see what it's doing. A lot of the body cam footage, it may be dark out, the person might be running around. It's very confusing to see how it's actually working. So that's why we show you this and how it's intended to work. So go ahead to that.
Very please. So as we said, the tactical mechanical advantage that you get from the sight, sound, and restraint. And as Steve said, 158 decibels, it's very loud. So I'll play this one more time before going on to the next one, but hear how loud this sound is. It definitely gets their attention. So you heard, that's through video and it's loud. So when you see the physical demos that we're going to do here shortly, you'll be able to truly understand what that is. Now, this next video, I showed this one because another variance with the Bolawrap compared to other less lethal devices is the Bolawrap can be used either moving or stationary. Stationary is ideal. You know, you have anywhere from, my meters to feet are different. So 10 to 25 feet is the recommended range for the Bolawrap. But with ours as well, if the individual starts out face to face, and then all of a sudden they say, "Oh, this is a bad idea, I'm gonna run," and you haven't implemented the Bolawrap to that point, the Bolawrap can be used to keep them from running away from you. So say, once again, somebody having the mental health moment, you don't want them to run into traffic, you don't want them to harm themselves, you don't want them to be in situations that could be problematic, so you want to take control. This video demonstrates that for you.
Go run, rap.
So in this situation, you see two officers. He Bolawraps the individual, then drops it to the ground, and immediately goes to cuffing the individual to put him into custody. That guy looked pretty fast. He could have run for a kilometer for all that we know. It was able to be dealt with quickly, efficiently, and without putting any other individuals in harm's way. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add. I know Italy uses tasers. So again, is everybody a taser user? Some. I know we got Paula back there, he's an instructor. Well, the recommendation for a taser is not to use it on a fleeing suspect, somebody running, because when you run and you're tased, you lose all bodily function. So what happens? You're gonna just fall. You've seen the videos, and you're gonna fall on your face, and cause any could cause some serious injury. Paul, do you want to add anything to that as an instructor? Is that correct?
It's perfect.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, so again, the Bolawrap, I love this video. These guys are actually very highly skilled mixed martial artists, jiu-jitsu guys that we have a partnership with. Before we entered that partnership, they really wanted to test the device to see if it worked. So some of the videos you've seen, really, one of the guys is a UFC fighter. All these guys compete at a very high level. They put it to the test. This was not staged. This guy ran, and you saw the result. And the difference is, when you trip and fall, you still have your control of your body, so you can brace your fall with your arms and legs to prevent injury. And there's some other videos that you'll see, running subjects, people walking away, things like that. So I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, so big difference, with the Bolawrap being able to be used moving stationary. The Taser is only a stationary device. And then as we get into other product discussions and everything in our intermission, like a great example of that, we're not going to spend much time talking about it today, but with the Bolawrap being a moving stationary device, we also have the ability to utilize it on drones. So as you see on this drone here, the drone is actually equipped with a multi-fire Bolawrap device that allows the unit to be fired. This one can fire 2 times larger drones. Our solution is drone agnostic, so we don't care if it's a European drone, a US drone, a Chinese drone, it doesn't matter. But from the standpoint of utilization, this can target individuals. Instead of a drone just being used for situational awareness, it can actually be used to restrain and detain the individual until officers are on site to be able to apprehend them properly. So being able to be used moving and stationary gives us the ability to do this type of thing as well. Any questions about that? Perfect. Like I said, any questions, please let us know. Now, everything that we've talked about so far is about the pre-escalation process to detain an individual. It's basically before that individual has a chance to become volatile, before they become unpredictable. You're taking control of the situation and the tactical elements and trying to eliminate surprise. Because you take control of the individual, you get them wrapped accordingly. If you wrap them at the torso, you wrap them at the legs, you know they're not going to run from you. You know they're not going to be able to resist. They're in a basically the position that you know they're going to adhere to your commands. The specific period from officer dispatch through the conclusion of the event, and when you're dealing with whether the subject's actions are going to escalate or not, that's a very, very volatile time, and it's generally very unpredictable. So what we have come up with as part of that to explain the element that the Bolawrap plays in the whole use of force continuum is illustrated really well in this graphic. Now, when an officer first shows up on the scene, police officer presence, that's the first element of getting the individual to adhere. They start giving the verbal commands. I need you to put your hands behind your back. I need you down on your knees. Put your hands behind your head, whatever the case may be. When those verbal commands are not listened to, the verbal commands break down, that's when the Bolawrap becomes an essential tool on the belt. Because that gives you that wrap window there of attempting to get that individual in custody where you're not wanting to subject them to pain compliance. You're not wanting to do something that could be negative to them medically in some fashion. You're wanting to get them to calm down. You're wanting to get them to basically adhere to your commands. Maybe they need some help to get there. That's what the Bolawrap does. This segment of that use of force continuum where the Bolawrap plays a solitary role because there's not another product on the market that can do what we do. Now, are there going to be situations to where the person still does not adhere, you're still not able to do things and you got to go to other levels on the belt? Of course. We are not trying to eliminate anything on the belt. We are just trying to provide you an essential choice and an essential tool on the belt before it becomes a pain compliance scenario. Any questions about this slide? Great. Now, in summary with the Bolawrap, plain and simple, it's an easy product to deploy. We're going to do the physical demos, going to give everybody a chance to see the product firsthand, get wrapped if you would like, if you want to actually see the experience of it, because I mean, we've had everybody from chiefs of police to mayors to high-level government individuals and clergy and various others get wrapped because they wanted to see that it's actually true, everything that we claim. And you see for yourself that it truly is. So easy to deploy, takes only a few hours to train. Optimal tactical range is 10 to 25 feet, so up to about 8 meters on average. I talked a little bit about the drone utilization earlier. If somebody is utilizing the drones and the functionality from that, your range actually extends because the actual deployment of the unit has more capabilities in that regard, so we can actually go out a significant level further with the drones than we can with the handheld. But overall, the most important factors of the device is that it's a non-based, pain-based compliance product. So it doesn't use electrical, it doesn't use impact, it doesn't use chemicals. So all the things that go along with that, from needing to protect individuals that are in a weaker position or individuals that have health concerns or health challenges, that goes out the window with our product because none of that comes into play. And then, plain and simple, it reduces escalation risks because if you're able to get that person to comply early before they become volatile or before the situation becomes problematic, it's just better for everybody because you're not going to have the injuries for the potential subject, you're not going to have the injuries to the officers, and everybody's going to get home safely at some point. And that's the most crucial piece of it all. This is a map that shows you currently in the United States where the Bolawrap 150 is currently deployed. We're in more than 1,100 U.S. agencies presently. And in addition to this, we're actually in over 30 countries worldwide. So, as I touched on in my opening comment, we're very appreciative of Italy leading the way for the EU. The things that your country has done from a legality standpoint and a utilization standpoint, they should be followed by the rest of the EU because you guys have definitely led the way and you should be applauded for that. But in general, as I said, the thousands and thousands and thousands of products that we've sold and implemented, we're proud of the fact that they're rated at about a 92% success rate for the products when they're utilized and implemented. And the reason that rate is so high is because of ease of use of the product and predictability of situational use. And, being able to take out the level of uncertainty and lack of predictability in your job is difficult every day. And we want to do anything we can do to assist with that. Now, obviously, Italy doesn't have it as bad as the United States from a liability standpoint, but plain and simple, every escalation hurts in more ways than one. You know, litigation, settlements, officer injuries, all of those things are hugely impactful. And the direct cost of litigation and settlements is highlighted there on the left. In the US, over the last decade, $3.2 billion in settlements. 11.4 million on average. And 3.5 million is the median payout per individual circumstance. Cities, municipalities, states, and federally, you can't continue at that rate because it'll send each of them into bankruptcy. And then the flip side of that, you know, it's obvious on the litigation and settlements, but what a lot of agencies still have to deal with, but it doesn't get talked about in the media, or it doesn't get as much scrutiny and publication, is the number of officers that are hurt when they've got to go hands-on with an assailant. Maybe they break a wrist, they break a hand, they tear up a knee, they do something like that. Well, then all of a sudden, that's one less officer that's on the streets, that's one less officer that's out protecting the community. And all of the costs associated with that officer, and then trying to backfill their not being on the job every day, it's expensive. And as you see there in the US, 15,369 on-duty injuries from assault in the last year. 123,000 lost work days due to injury on an annual basis. More than $106 million to cover cost of hours for injuries of the officers. If we can make a small dent in that by utilizing the Bolawrap on the belt, in addition to everything else that you utilize daily, then we feel like we've made a positive contribution.
See, I was just going to add just a little thing to that. I speak to officers every day, and being a former one, a lot of my friends are still working, and it seems like the command and supervisors are encouraging their officers to pull back on some of these tools because people do get hurt and they end up in lawsuits and things like that. So, you know, the other thing that we're seeing, and I don't know if it's on another slide, but we're seeing a lot of compliance too. Just displaying the unit, activating it, seeing the light, seeing the laser. It's confusing to people. They don't know what it is. They might think it's a new taser, it's a new weapon. They think they're going to get hurt. Or people that are having a mental health crisis, it does something, it triggers something that, you know, a lot of times we get compliance. So you don't have to use it all the time. We say, hey, if you have the legal authority to take somebody into custody, and they're not being compliant, okay, you can go hands-on if you're comfortable doing that. Or you can use a tool that you almost guarantee it's not going to hurt somebody, and you're going to end up with officers off duty treating injuries or people in the hospital, and it's just you know, again, we get a lot of compliance as well. And speaking to officers, they're afraid to use tasers. That for them to deploy a taser, the level of the incident has to be at a much, much higher level. So I'm speaking to smaller officers or female officers. They're expected to do a lot more with their hands than they were in the past. And so again, there's just another tool on the belt to help give you a tactical advantage. Question? Yeah. So again, training's super important. We don't train to fire above the elbows, but the Bolawrap doesn't restrict. So even if around the head and or the neck, it does not restrict, so it would not cause any strangulation whatsoever.
And contrary to that, if somebody got tasered and it went into the neck, obviously I don't have to outline what would happen with that. With ours, as Steve so articulately outlined, even if it was targeted, which is not part of training, we're very specific in how you utilize it. And Paulo's gonna come up, I think, and speak to us about this.
Una piattaforma per probabilmente siccome non ha usa la forza centrifuga, non è lanciato da una canna, nel momento in cui arriva tocca e gli uncini cominciano a girare. Comunque non è un salame che viene girato, e dunque no, è morto. L'unico problema ovviamente sono gli occhi, quello che può dare il problema che l'uncino è l'occhio, questo nel training ovviamente si evita con gli chiasi di protezione, quindi normalissimi. L'italiano ci c'era durante il training di forzare le persone, quello vedremo per come è fatto lo strumento, non le viene da puntare, ma le viene da tenere col coltello.
Thank you, Paulo.
The last thing I was going to say is, if you go online to YouTube, you see a lot of body cam footage of the Bolawrap being deployed. You see a lot of really poor training, really bad deployments. They may be presenting it like we don't teach that, and I think our training's gotten a lot better. We wanted a stable platform on your hip.
So we will show them that in the video.
Okay. But you'll see a lot of videos people deploying it the wrong way, and it hasn't resulted in any kind of injury. But we want to train the correct way, the safest way, and it avoids injuries.
I think that's a great point that Steve just made. Even when they're not using it right, it still doesn't lead to the injuries, it still doesn't lead to death, and it still doesn't lead to lawsuits. So when you do it properly, you can imagine the success that you can have. And along those lines, I would like to show you about a 3-minute video that highlights the proper way to train, the proper way to utilize, and all of this. I think you'll find this very interesting.
Introduce law enforcement professionals to a revolutionary model of force. In this video, demonstrate how our device and tactics advance modern policing by bridging the gap between verbal commands and high enforcement preventions. Whether you're a seasoned officer or new recruit, our course instruction to provide you with the knowledge, techniques, and confidence needed to safely and effectively deploy our device in the field. Join us as we explore each component of our training and device. Device provides safety with temporarily cause a smart response and restriction of the subject's performance. Allowing officers to safely close the distance, occupy positions immediately, place the subject in restraint using minimal additional force. It's critical for officers to understand that the window of time is measured in seconds and that they have to move quickly immediately following the deployment of the device. And the time is about within just seconds of the clock. It's about creating opportunities for clear decision-making and safe restraint. Once you determine that restraint of the subject is unavoidable, your next actions regarding distance, angle, and breadth become crucial.
Session will explore the device's main features, proper handling, and safe deployment protocols. The device was designed and is intended for use as a non-lethal force option for law enforcement personnel. But it does deploy a projectile for whenever handling the device, it is essential that it be accorded the same respect, caution, and precision as you would use when handling a firearm. To deploy the device, the operator draws it and brings it to an approved shooting position, being careful not to allow the second hand to pass in front of the cassette bank. Once in position, the operator will press the power switch and the device will cycle through its calibration cycle. Once the green LED indicator is lit, which will happen within 1 second, the device is ready to deploy. At this time, the operator will walk the green laser sight upward into one of the 2 approved wrapping zones. When the decision to deploy is made, the operator will press the activation button. Immediately after activating the device, the operator will assess and either holster the device or drop it if they decide to assist in the detention of the subject, or consider the possibility of loading a second cassette if another route is indicated. just seeing the device up close, how it works, how to handle it safely, and how to prepare for deployment. Combining these operational steps with tactical fundamentals maximizes the likelihood of a safe and effective resolution.
So what you saw there, it's not complicated to use, but there's process, training, and tactics that go along with utilizing it the same every single time. And when that's done the way it should be, it is a very safe, efficient, and crucial tool on the road.
I think that we will have you can say that we will have a demo right after the right here.
Yep.
So we will see how it works, thanks to the instructors at Powerphone for Booster Silvio.
And I know you spent time in your.
We have operators, we have instructors, we have Chief of Champino is an instructor as well.
Excellent.
On the Bolawrap. Simonelli is again an instructor. So we have people here that then can also say their thought or having the Bolawrap on their duty belt.
Well, Alex, this is a great opportunity for me to tell you, as I said, I feel so blessed to be here among this crowd today. You've done a wonderful job bringing everybody's educational level on our product to such a point here in Italy, and the level of commitment that I've already seen from your agencies and departments overall, it's impressive. So, very well. So before we get into the demos, before we go to our coffee break, I want to show you a little bit more about our wrap reality system.
There's a question for Steve.
Okay.
Steve, stand up. Come. He's asking officers of various police departments like New York how they accepted the Bolawrap, how they see the tool as an extra tool on their duty belt. So if you have some feedback on that.
Yeah, it varies. We're in all kinds. We're big departments, small departments, medium departments. It's very hard getting the data back because, as you guys know, you're responsible for writing reports and going to court and doing all that stuff. It's really hard to track. So our customer service people do our best to engage with the customers, try to get feedback. A lot of times they'll send us their body cam footage so we can analyze it, share it with everybody else, see what worked, what didn't work. I would say this, the departments that are using it on a regular basis, all the feedback is positive. I think it's a cultural thing. It may be here as well. There's limited space on your duty belt, right? So real estate is important. With that being said, some departments leave it in their car. They'll leave a device in the car, as it is traveling with it. And so when they need it, they don't have it because it's wait a minute, I'll be back. Let me get my Bolawrap. So
He said same in Italy is exactly the same here in Italy.
it is. And listen, we love all the tools. I mean, we're not against pepper spray, batons, and tasers. They all have a place. They all have a purpose. We want to fight for space on the vest. We know there are departments that have tabled other programs. They say, what's important? What are we doing? How often are we using a taser? Or how often are we using a baton? And they make the decision, okay, we're going to make room for the Bolawrap because we think we're going to use it more often. So we're collecting that information, and I guess the best way to answer that is the people that are carrying it and using it, we're getting a lot of great feedback. The departments that have it and might not be carrying it, we're trying to encourage them, and I think they will over time.
With their additional training.
Yeah, with the new training, and they'll see. a lot of places, United States, we have 50 states, they all have different laws, they all have different regulations and procedures. I've talked to officers where they have a choice what they want to carry, and to deploy a taser, the level of the incident has to be so high, it's the same as a firearm. So he says to me, well, why would I carry my taser if it's the same level as a firearm? Because it's a deadly force situation, so I would carry my firearm. So it varies, and we're hoping to get a lot of momentum getting people to carry it. I think they'll use it. Yeah.
Now, along those lines, he was talking strictly only in the US. Something that I think is important to note, there's a number of countries that they've totally gone away from using anything else, and they're using the Bolawrap as their primary. I mean, a great example, the country of Chile with their carabineros, they have, I think it's over 8,000 devices currently deployed, and that's the standard issue. They have a baton, they have the Bolawrap, and they have handcuffs. That's what they carry. And, there's other countries around the world that have done much the same. So in the US, the space on the belt is a consideration. We have a lot of agencies that have ended up taking taser off their belts because they've had so many liability hours. They're like, we can't afford to pay more. We've got to come up with something that has a safer process for us, and they've chosen Bolawrap. But that's like Steve has said, and I say the same. We're not trying to eliminate anything. Everything has its place in the department in the right circumstance. We just know that our product fills a gap in the use of force continuum that there's nothing else available besides us. So it's an inclusion that we feel is essential. But once again, it's not meant to replace, it's meant to enhance. So, a couple more things I want to cover before we go to the coffee break. Has to do with our Wrap Reality product. Steve, would you pass around some of the Wrap Reality tools? So, the Wrap Reality...
Can I start really quick? Because I'm a little embarrassed, and I don't want to upset my boss here, but this headset is old, and this is not what you're gonna get. So I have a travel kit that I brought this Pelican case. It needs a little bit of space, that's why I didn't set it up today. But as we talk through our system, you'll see the benefits. But on the picture on the wall, you'll see what the new headset looks like. It's much more modern. This is a laptop, but the actual system itself is a tower. It has more power and better graphics, base stations. It's very interactive, immersive, right? So you really feel like you're in the situations. The situations change all the time. So I'm gonna pass this around, but
I was actually talking about the tools.
the tools. I'm gonna pass around the tools. I'm not gonna pass around the headset because I don't like that headset.
No.
That's the new headset. That's kind of embarrassing. But with the system, there are several different force options that come with it. So kind of like all the tools that you use. We have a taser. We have a Glock pistol. There's different variations of pistols you can get. The Bolawrap. You can have a rifle, right? And all those tools would fit on your belt like you would normally carry out on the street for calls or a SWAT service or whatever it might be. And then you walk into the immersive Wrap Reality. So when you're going through these scenarios, we'll talk a little bit more about the scenarios, but you just don't have one option, you have all of them. So if you, again, there's a library, 40 plus different scenarios that all change. And yeah, and we keep on building new scenarios and these scenarios are based on what officers are seeing. the most calls for service they're seeing on the
And the
street.
key element is with ours, just like we said, our drone solution is drone agnostic. Our VR system for rapid reality is tool agnostic. We want the virtual reality circumstance to allow you to train on whether it's weaponry, whether it's taser, whether it's Bolawrap, whatever the case may be. Ours gives you those choices. And whether you're training in behavioral and mental health responses, your seamless Bolawrap integrations, resistance scenarios, anything that you can fathom from the VR scenario training platform, you've got that ability with your tools. Even if you just want to go to the range in VR and be able to, practice firing your Glock or firing your long gun or utilizing different scenarios with your Bolawrap, you get that ability within the wrap reality. And that's what I'm going to show you here in a video that I'm going to demonstrate, that just kind of highlights the different things that come about with it, the different things that are made available to you. Because it's, in today's world, training is just such an important element. And the virtual reality world gives you the ability to practice real life circumstances without getting anybody hurt in the process. And that's a key training opportunity as we move forward.
Hey, Stuart, we have 10 minutes because we have a hard time. Okay, so we're going to kind of go a little bit faster than normal. But what I wanted to say about the VR, you walk into a situation, whatever the scenario, you'll get a dispatch, you'll hear dispatch. It could be something very small, like a trespasser that, is causing a disturbance. Well, you still have all your tools on there, but, when you arrive on the scene, you're not thinking gun, you're thinking verbal, right? And the student and the instructor, they work out, the communication back and forth. So our system is about, judgment under stress, about communication, about decision making, right? To de-escalate the situation. So I show up, I get to dispatch, trespasser, he may look like he's having a mental health. I'm not thinking, okay, it's not gun time. This is verbal communication time. Things might escalate. And as they escalate, maybe it's time to go to my Bolawrap. So I can take that off my belt and continue on with the situation. Well, it could escalate further. I could reholster my Bolawrap. Maybe I go to a taser. Maybe I go to my handgun, depending on the situation. And the really neat thing about our VR is that it's never the same. These aren't canned scenarios. So you have an operator sitting behind the computer, and based on what the student does is where the scenario goes. So if he's in a bad position, there might be somebody behind him, because this is 360. You can walk all over the room, you can look up, down, you look all around. So as an officer, you need to be aware of all these things. So, as you're doing those things, you have all these different tools. If you, as the communication, if you see something good, you're something bad, it's going to take the scenario in different spots. And that operator behind the computer, he's based on your decisions, based on what you say, where you go, he can change the scenario. All of a sudden, that person that was just sitting on a park bench taking a nap, he can get up. Now he can have a knife, he can have a gun, he can have nothing. So it's not a video game. It's not a video game. Of course, there are scenarios where you can have active shooters and hostages and things like that in school scenarios. But it's really about, I think, what sets our system apart. It's all about decision making under stress. It changes all the time. And then there's a replay where you're with the instructors. Everything's recorded. you can see it's repeatable. So you can go over the same scenario all the time. Instructors, you can correct their actions and things like that. So unfortunately, I'm doing my best to describe it without showing it on the
We're about to
screen.
show the video.
Okay.
Yeah, so this video I'm about to show you will kind of highlight everything that we've outlined for you. And the VR system is it's just something that can be adapted to your agency, specific to how you want to utilize it, how you want to train your officers, and the circumstances that you highlight as most crucial. So as we go through the video, be thinking in those lines, and then any questions you have, we're happy to answer.
Where split-second decisions define destinies, a new era in training emerges. Welcome to Rapid Reality, the 360 by 360 transformative virtual reality system that propels first responders into the future of preparedness. It's not just training. It's a dynamic arena for honing critical decision-making skills in high-stress situations. Each rapid reality scenario branches into a multitude of actions, reactions, and outcomes. It's a world where choices shape outcomes, and real learning never stops. And with Reality Rewind, the game changes. Officers can review and replay scenarios, stepping back at the heat of the moment, either as themselves or as a third party. Post-scenario analytics provide a 360-degree understanding of each situation, analyzing responses from multiple data points and unlocking insights from improvements. Rapid Reality cultivates expertise through immersive experiences, empowering officers with the skills to turn uncertainty into confidence. Every positive outcome starts with exceptional training. Rapid Reality ensures responders are ready for tomorrow's challenges. Rapid Reality, driving safer outcomes through advanced training.
Now, you'll notice a key element in everything through our presentation today is training, training, training. To us, everything comes down to policy, training, and tool. And the better able we are to equip you and other agencies to utilize our tool properly, the better outcomes are going to be, and the more expansive the utilization is going to be. So with that being the case, that concludes the presentation for this morning. From the presentation standpoint, I think I'm going to stay out of trouble now with Alex because I'm not going over time.
Can I do a couple quick things, Alex? Can I have 2 minutes?
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Okay. One thing I did want to skip over. I mentioned earlier all the research and development, all the innovation the company's going through. You're going to see a lot of cool stuff coming out. One of the things I wanted to mention, we're in R&D and building a shoulder-fired Bolawrap now. So it will be multi-shot. So instead of a device that shoots one and has to reload, we'll have a shoulder fire that can shoot eight rounds, right? So you can do multiple rounds. The second thing I wanted to show real quick is we have a drone platform now to wrap subjects and also a counter drone. I brought this with me. This is a vector drone, very small, and this housing on the bottom here is called the Merlin. This is what we build. We don't build drones, but we have strategic partnerships with drone companies, Vector being one, and they're one of the top ones. These guys were all former special operators in the United States. They built this drone. Their drones are being used by all the tier 1 special operations. This one's small because it's being used in houses for CQB. This thing will go with a team to clear buildings upstairs and be the eyes and ears for the team as they move and clear houses. So this one's designed to work inside. You can see it's all rounded so it can bounce off walls. It's not going to fall down. And then the second one is a little bit bigger, not much bigger, but it holds a bigger payload. and so it's counter drone. So it can take out drones in the area without blowing things out of the air, without causing any collateral damage, because it's using the same wrap technology. It shoots the same tether and anchors, and it wraps up the drone, takes it down without causing collateral risk and things like that. So we're gonna have this stuff up here, and I know we're gonna take a break. We'll be here to answer any questions. We were short on time, but any questions before we break?
Well, thank you all for being such a great audience. We appreciate it, and we hope you do stick around after coffee for the field demo presentation. That's, I think, if you haven't seen the Bolawrap utilized, I think you'll enjoy that, being able to see it up close and personal. So thank you. Let's get some refreshments, everybody.
Secondo me voglio che vada a no, infatti lo